Hello, hope you're doing well. This short recording is meant to give you some guidelines for what to do when you receive produce from the south or the north, from farms here in Eretz Yisrael. And we want to give support to our farmers, especially during this time of milchama. And so we buy their produce. But the problem with buying their produce is that it might not be supervised. And Terumot and Ma'asrot may not have been tithed. And in that case, it's actually forbidden to eat the produce. So what do? So the goal of this tutorial, which is going to take a few minutes for me to run through some of the basic outline the halachot. We just got a bunch of avocados. So how do we take Terumot and Ma'asrot on these avocados? Normally when you buy fruit from a supermarket with a hashgacha, so it's already, the Rabbanu takes care of this. But if you receive fruit from your local garden or from a friend or from a farm down south and it's not supervised, you have to know what to do. It's a fairly simple process once you know the basics. And I'm going to share with you at the end of this what I think is the most effective and easiest way of dealing with this in the future. This is a mitzvah you could perform with your children. So let's jump right into a PowerPoint, a short PowerPoint that I have created for this purpose. So what do we mean when we talk about Terumot and Ma'asrot? So the Torah tells us there are 5 different mitzvot that we perform. There are others, but these are the 5 that are relevant to us right now, that we take a certain portion of our agricultural produce or whatever it is that we have at home that's from the fields, and we give it to either the Kohen, the Levi, that we eat ourselves. And these 5, the big 5, are Truma Gedola, Ma'aser Rishon, Trumat Ma'aser, Ma'aser Sheni, and Ma'aser Ani. For today's purposes, we're only going to focus on the first 4. The 5th Ma'aser Ani is only relevant in the next year of the Shemitah of the Jewish calendar, but not for this particular year. What are these? Truma Gedola. According to the Torah, you take a very small portion of your produce and you give it to a Kohen, and he eats it. Only a Kohen is allowed to eat Truma Gedola. According to the rabbis, we take 2% of our produce and give it to the Kohen. Ma'aser Rishon means that we take 10% of our produce and we give it to the Levi'im. The Levi'im are a much larger group than the Kohanim, so more needs to be tithed and given to them, but anybody could eat Ma'aser Rishon. Trumat Ma'aser is what the Levi'im give to the Kohanim from the 10% that they've received. So it's also a form of Truma, but it's coming from the Levi'im and then on to the Kohanim. And the 4th one, Ma'aser Sheni, we take another 10% of our produce, we bring it to Yerushalayim, we eat it in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, and we celebrate there, and or we could exchange it for money and buy other food in Yerushalayim. These are the 4 Terumot and Ma'asrot that we're dealing with in today's day and age. Let's turn to the next slide to see exactly what we do today. Now, when it comes to Truma Gedola, normally we would give it to a Kohen, but Kohanim do not eat Truma today. They are not considered to be ritually pure, and we also don't know who's 100% considered a Kohen Miyuchas. So Kohanim do not eat Truma. So what we do with the Truma from the fruit is we actually take it, put it into a plastic bag, tie it up, and we dispose of it respectfully in a trash can. The same thing is true with Trumat Ma'aser. When it comes to Ma'aser Rishon, some paskin that you actually need to give a portion of the fruit to a Levi, to a friend, a neighbor who is a Levi. The Chazon Ish said you don't have to give it to a Levi. You're actually not allowed to give it to a Levi in today's day and age. And rather, one Yisrael, a regular person, should just eat the produce, not a problem. When it comes to Ma'aser Sheni, so Ma'aser Sheni, we redeem the produce itself, that's Ma'aser Sheni, is Kadosh. So you can't eat it unless you're in Yerushalayim. So what we do is we redeem it onto a coin, and you keep this coin in your house in a secure place. And that's what we do with Ma'aser Sheni. Ma'aser Ani, we give it to a poor person in the format of a loan or literally giving them the food. But we'll see some practical measures of dealing with this at the end. Okay, so rules of separating. How do you separate the produce? So again, we're cutting right to the practical rules here. So first of all, everything, the Terumot need to be done in the right order. There's Truma Gedola, Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'aser, Trumat Ma'aser, Ma'aser Sheni. And so that's the order. Number 2, there's a certain text that you say. This is called the text of Hafrashat Truma. And you need to understand what you're saying. A person can't just say the words, you have to understand the meaning of them. Number 3 is we make 2 brachot when we go through this process. But we only make the brachot if we know for certain that no Terumot and Ma'asrot have been taken. So if you receive something from a random field in the south, and it's confirmed that no Terumot and Ma'asrot have been taken, you have to make a bracha. If it's in doubt, maybe it was supervised, maybe not, you don't really know, then you do not make a bracha because it's safek. Number 4 is here I just have avocados, but let's say I also had oranges or lemons, whatever produce I have, you go through each fruit separately. So I could deal with all the avocados in one fell swoop, and then I deal with the oranges separately. Number 5, mukaf, the fruit that you are going to tithe, it should be in one location. It should be in front of you. Okay, it shouldn't be some here and some there. It should be all in one area, in one pile. And number 6, before we take the fruit or the vegetables, you actually need to drizzle some water on them. You don't need to wash them entirely, but you drizzle a little bit of water, and this then makes the truma tme'ah, which then permits you to dispose of it. Now is not the time to discuss this in detail, but that is an important halacha. Okay, we go to the next slide. The actual produce procedure, part 1. So essentially what you're doing is you take a knife and you cut off a small part. Let's say I have 2 avocados. So I'm cutting off a little bit of one of the avocados. These are not ripe yet, so I'm not going to do it yet. But you cut off a little bit of the avocado, at least more than 1% of the avocado. Okay, and in this case, I'm 100% certain that Terumot and Ma'asrot was not taken. So I'm going to recite the following bracha. Bracha Hashem Elokeinu asher kiddushanu v'mitzvanu lahafrish Terumot u'Ma'asrot. And then here is the formulation in English. In the next slide, you'll see it in Hebrew. And he says as follows: what I'm about to say applies to each type of produce separately. The 1% that is on the lower side of the produce, I have set aside, remains tevel for the time being. Tevel means that it has not been tithed yet. The rest of what I've set aside is truma gdola for all of the produce. Then you go on the 1% I mentioned, and another 9% on the upper side of the produce is maaser rishon. 1% that I previously set aside is trumat maaser. That was from the first 1% that we spoke about. And then another 9% in the lower part of the produce is maaser sheni. And then if it's a year where you would require maaser ani, it is maaser ani. Why 9% as opposed to 10%, which we said earlier? Because once you've already taken off the 10% from maaser rishon, so then there's only it's 10% out of what's left, which is 90. So it results in 9%. This is the English formulation. We go to the Hebrew formulation. I'm sharing with you a copy from a book, a very lovely book on kashrut by Rav Pinchas Cohen. He's a Ram in Yeshivat Har Etzion, a colleague and friend of mine. Here you have the bracha at the top. And mashu yoter me'achan mimea min hakol sheyesh kan harehu truma gdola. Okay, so that's the truma gdola. Bitzfano, it's like on the top of the fruit. So you're combining the trumat maaser with the maaser rishon. Those are going to be maaser rishon, and then you remove the trumat maaser from the maaser rishon. Oto achani meya she'asitiv maaser rishon hareu trumat maaser, and then tisha chalakim, 9 more parts are going to be maaser sheni. Okay, yafet. We then move on to the next slide. With regards to Maaser Sheni. So again, this year is a Maaser Sheni year. Next year, or really in 2 years' time, the third year of the Shemitah cycle is going to be a Maaser Ani. So for here, you have the second bracha. So we know that produce, this has not been tied. So we make another bracha. Bracha Hashem Elokeinu ma'acholam, asher kiddushanu v'mitzvanu, lifdot Maaser Sheni, to redeem Maaser Sheni. So again, I'm not going to actually take this to Yerushalayim and eat it in Yerushalayim. But what I can do is I can exchange the kedusha, the holiness that's in these fruit, onto a coin. Okay, and I recite the following text. And so you have to have a coin. You take a 10 shekel coin or two 10 shekel coins. These are going to be put aside. No one's allowed to use them. These are very holy coins. And you say as follows for Maaser Sheni, which is relevant to us. What I've designated as Maaser Sheni, plus a quarter of its value, you have to add value when you exchange for money, is now redeemed by transferring its sanctity to a pruta and a quarter's worth of my designated coin. So we're not actually designating the value of the avocado, okay, or it could be quite a bit. We're assuming it's reduced to a pruta amount. This redemption applies to each type of produce in accordance to its level of obligation. That's what you recite. And then we go, this is the Hebrew version right here. He and its extra fifth, which you add. How do you do Pidyon Maaser Sheni today? So again, you take a 10 shekel coin. You could even take two of them, take them together, and write Maaser. There's a Maaser Sheni coin. You put it into a plastic bag with a little piece of paper. And if you do this many times, so the coin fills up, okay, and the entire coin, the entire 10 or 20 shekels becomes mechulal. And now at the end of the 3 or 6 years of the Shemitah cycle, you actually need to destroy the coin, which is not a simple thing to do. Or you could redeem its value onto a cup of sugar and let the sugar down the drain, and that is more recommended, just an easier way to do this. Okay, but you have to make sure the coin is not being used for some other purpose. You can't use it. Take it to the coffee shop and buy a coffee. So then there's a discussion about Maaser Ani, which we're not going to get into right now. But what I want to share with you is a really easy way to do this in the future, so that you do not have to have a Maaser Sheni coin in the home, so that you could really give your Maaser Rishon to a Levi. So what I'm going to go to, I'm going to share, I'm going to go to a website called Torahland. Okay, Torahland is a website that focuses on halacha actualit, practical halacha with regards to agriculture in Eretz Yisrael. So let's go to the English version of the website. A wonderful website. Definitely recommend reading the articles. You have all these options here about there's a Beit Midrash, Ask the Rabbi, our services, halachikot. I'm going to our services, and in our services we see here there's Beit Otzar Fund for Terumot and Ma'asrot. Okay, this is a unique public service fund that helps members observe the laws of Terumot and Ma'asrot in the most mehudar fashion, at the highest level. Beit Otzar was founded in 1995 to increase awareness of taking Terumot and Ma'asrot while providing practical ways to perform this mitzvah according to halacha. And again, you just search on Google Torahland.org and you'll find this website. Click on more info, and we read a little bit about this fund. You could do this in your own time. This is the Rav HaMachshir is Rav Yaakov Ariel, very big posek from Ramat Gan, Chief Rabbi of Ramat Gan, and the president of the Torah V'Haaretz Institute. And you could read a little bit about what this fund does, but essentially what they do is they set up, when you make you basically sign up as for a year subscription, and anytime you want to take Terumot to Ma'asrot, so the Maaser Rishon is given to a Levi, okay? So you don't have to do it, they do it for you. And the Maaser Ani, in a case where you have to give a Maaser Ani, they give food to a poor person. For the Maaser Sheni, which we redeem onto a coin, they have a coin. So when you redeem it, it's redeemed onto their coin that they have in their institute. So let's just say you sign up for subscribe to Beit Otzar. Okay, you send in your personal details. Okay, these are the subscription details. It's very cheap. Subscription fee is 80 shekel annually. Almost nothing. Kohen Levi, they get a discount. You could do a limited 2-month subscription for tourists, and you can read through the loan agreement, exactly what's and you pay by credit card, and they will then send you details about this. They'll send you an envelope in the mail, a magnet you could put on your fridge, and this will help you do tie Terumot to Ma'asrot on a regular basis. We're going to stop here. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out. I will also send a link to the much longer version, which is about 40 slides on a PowerPoint. With Bezrat Hashem, we should be able to fulfill this mitzvah of fulfilling Terumot to Ma'asrot. And it's a wonderful way to support our local farmers and to continue to build and fulfill the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, praying our soldiers should return home safely, the Chatufim should be returned, all the Psuim should be healed. Bezrat Hashem, we will have a Nitzachon Gadol for Am Yisrael.